And the problem with a lot of modern men in dating is that all they feel like they can bring is money, because unfortunately our society has attached a male's value to their dollar, their wallet, which I think is a tragedy. And I think it's bad when women do that to men, and I think it's bad when men do that to men.
But you just said the GDP is like the key thing.
Yeah, GDP is really important, but that doesn't mean that
But then it's a tragedy that men's wallet matters. It's so a contradiction. Much in a relationship.
It's not a contradiction at all to say that, like, at a nation-state level, GDP is important to be competitive and not get destroyed by your enemies. But at an individual level, it's a tragedy.
Why is it a tragedy
that
at the
men's only value in a relationship is the dollars that they bring.
Let me make it clear.
But it should be more value the character that they have.
It's your value scale is arbitrary.
It's not arbitrary.
It's worse. It's actually pretty bad. Is that at the individual level it's a tragedy, but at the nation level it's the ultimate value.
Yes.
Your
scale is arbitrary.
And
when you argued it with me, you said it was subjective and relative, and what you believe is right. And
relative doesn't mean arbitrary. These are not the same thing. These are not the same words.
If you argue that it's relative and then you make an argument, it's arbitrary.
That's not true at all.
It is. It is.
No.
You don't know basic philosophy.
Okay,
this
we can
was
go
our
back
2-hour
to this.
debate.
Presuppositionalism is...
That has nothing to do with whether relativism is a contradiction.
We can answer the question before. I'm sorry, I'm so tired.
You don't understand the topics.
Presuppositionalism doesn't solve Agrippa's dilemma any better than foundationalism.
You've never had a philosophy class to even speak on these topics.
I know you're saying this.
No, but you
at this point, after watching your debate, I don't think you have a degree in philosophy, because you would know that presuppositionalism does not solve Agrippa's dilemma. It relies on dogmatism.
To my position.
Unfortunately, you offered coherentism as the solution to Agrippa's trilemma, but you know, or you're not educated in it, you know that Agrippa's trilemma is not solved by presuppositionalism. It's not solved by anything.
It is solved.
It is not. Coherentism does not solve dogmatism.
You don't even know. You didn't know what coherentism was until yesterday. You just learned it yesterday.
I don't have to know every single philosophical word to be able to engage.
Yeah, you should know it the day before. Then you should
probably know what equivocating means when you cited it incorrectly.
You did it because you used feminism two different ways?
You cited it incorrectly. You said that it's making two things the same.
No, it's not.
When you use the same word in a different way. Then why did you cite it incorrectly against me?
I clipped you lying, dummy, yesterday.
You used to try to claim something against me, but it's an ad hominem from hypocrisy, which you cited incorrectly too. When I was looking for confirmation bias, you cited Gambler's dilemma. Gambler's dilemma has nothing to do with confirmation bias. It wasn't what I was looking for. Gambler's dilemma has everything to do from using past post-hoc information to make predictions of the future, which has nothing to do with confirmation bias. So what you do in debates is you cite a bunch of philosophically sounding words to feel impressive.
You're not talking to anybody but yourself.
You don't know what you're talking about. And you rely on presuppositionalism to stump people who don't have philosophical systems in the background. But you still, to this day, haven't solved Agrippa's trilemma. And you're stuck.
You don't even know what that is. It has to do with epistemology. I asked you what epistemology was. You didn't even know.
I said
what's justified true belief? Oh, tell me. You don't know anything about these topics.
I can define it for you. It's infinite regression.
I know
it's dogmatism, and it's circular reasoning.
What we're debating.
It has everything to do with it, because you're saying that relativism is arbitrary, but relativism has never been viewed as arbitrary ever. It's a philosophical system based out of foundationalism.
That's an appeal to authority, you idiot.
It's not appeal to authority at all in any way, shape, or form.
The fact that nobody believed that is an appeal to authority because it's a vox populi.
Is a foundationalism belief.
It's appeal to the masses, you idiot.
The reason why it's not solving Agrippa's trilemma is the same reason presuppositionalism doesn't solve Agrippa's trilemma.
You don't understand infinite regress.
All the time.
You don't know what
it's the idea that you fundamentally cannot justify any axiom at the end of the day, because everything must be circular, including presuppositionalism.
That doesn't mean you understand it. You're repeating what you read already, you idiot.
Tries to solve Agrippa's trilemma by presupposing something, but it relies on dogmatism.
This only fools idiots who follow destiny when you just yap because you think you're destiny.
Take a bet on the IQ average between Destiny's audience and your audience. Take a bet on it. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
The garbage person that you tried to dissociate yourself with?
That the education level between my audience and yours is vastly disparate.
Your education.
It maps onto IQ pretty well.
Oh, really?
Yep, it does.
What, like in the Canadian system that you were educated in?
He's significantly better.
But you didn't know what justified your belief? Says who?
You ain't got the answers, man.
Says who?
Aren't you guys trying to destroy the Department of Education?
You ain't got the answers, Sway.
What?
Aren't you guys trying to destroy the Department of Education? So obviously the system sucks. If the system was working, then you wouldn't want to destroy it.
I ain't drinking up.
I don't believe the state education system is good, no.
I wanted to ask you, Kyla.
How are you not in fucking school?
What's the...
One second, Brian's got to get through his sounds.
Oh, he hit all of them.
It's called You Kiss Your Mother with That Fucking Mouth? Huh?
What's the meaningful...
Wait, I'm sorry, this is so distracting.
Because the fucking youth of society... You shut up when I'm talking to you! You shut your mouth!
Is it stuck?
Yeah, it's done.
That is so long.
What's the meaningful symmetry breaker between the tragedy of a man, his whole value being essentially the GDP of the house, and the country having that it's a good thing, it's not a tragedy that the GDP of the country is good. That's a good thing. But at the house level, which is a small country, it's a tragedy. What's a symmetry breaker that makes one good and one
ecological
tragedy?
Fallacy, right? What's good at like?
What are you saying?
You don't know what an ecological fallacy
Look,
is?
I asked you the symmetry breaker. You saying fallacy.
No, I'm answering with ecological fallacy. If you don't know what it is, that's okay. I can explain it to you.
Oh, you're so condescending.
Just
answer the question.
Genuine. You don't have to know all words. I actually don't think it's bad if you don't know what it is. But my answer to your question is ecological fallacy. If you want me to explain ecological fallacy, I'm willing to do so.
Cool. Can you do that after you answer my question?
My answer to your question is an ecological fallacy.
So you can't answer it. So you won't answer it because it's...
You don't know what that word means, do you?
Is a question a fallacy? How's a question a fallacy?
And so the question is an ecological fallacy. Yes, questions can be fallacious.
So asking for a symmetry breaker, I want to know the meaningful distinction between
the
something
symmetry
being
breaker
good.
is found in the ecological fallacy. Again, I can define it for you, or you can define it here. But if you want the answer,
Agrippa's trilemma. What is that? What is Agrippa's?
It's something that she heard Destiny talk about, that she
never
repeats,
heard Destiny talk about
and
it.
has nothing to do with the thing that we're debating. But it's a way for her to deflect away when she gets cornered, and she does it in multiple debates. She did it in their first debate too.
Okay.
But it doesn't fool anybody else in the audience.
Do you want to answer
That's why
his
you
question?
can't tell me what subjectivism and relativism are, and how your position justifies
I can
itself.
answer both of those things.
Okay,
You're
go.
the one who thought absolutism and objectivism are the same thing when they're not
The
synonymous.
words can mean the same thing in the
They
context.
don't mean
you
the
idiot.
same thing in
You're
philosophy
so
at
stupid.
all.
Yes, they do.
Do you want to answer his question on Agrippa's trilemma?
Tell me how your position is
think so.
true if it's arbitrary and if it's subjective.
not arbitrary.
How is subjectivism not arbitrary?
I don't use subjectivism. You were talking about relativism.
Relativism is the same thing.
No, it's
yes,
not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's
You're
not.
so stupid. It's the same thing.
Okay, do you want me to
Tell me
define
how
it
it's
for you?
different.
Relativism is looking at the scale at like a group of things and finding things relative to certain points. So, for example, relativism would answer the simple philosophical question: if a man steals bread, is it bad? Relativism would go, why is he stealing bread? If you find out that he's in like a super tyrannical country and he can't feed his children, most people would agree.
It's called moral relativism.
There you go.
And it's purely
moral
what?
Subjectivism would say, what I like to do is what is right. It is fully centered on I and the individual. Relativism looks at like the outer situation and
Who's
like
looking?
utilitarianism is a great example of relativism.
It's just
not
grammar.
subjectivism.
You don't understand grammar. If I say I'm a moral relativist, that's a subjectivist position.
It's not. I'll
You're
draw
so
it for
stupid.
you. Here, I can draw it for you so you
I
can
said
understand.
I am.
She's gonna-
So,
Do you understand grammar?
For those of you who are not familiar with philosophy, I guess I'll explain it to the ladies.
Listen to me. You're
there's
talking
an
to the ceiling.
X-axis and there's a Y-axis.
If I say
on the
I-
X-axis would be absolutism.
If
and
I
then it
say
would be
I am a,
relativism.
this is like talking to, she doesn't talk.
So absolutism is like, do you guys know? You guys ever heard of?
Hey, don't call people that.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
That's
So
okay.
Kant had this idea of absolutism, which is that when we come to universal laws, we should apply them to everyone equally in all ways. And the problem with absolutism is that it falls apart really quickly. And the only law that he could find that worked really well
That's
for
not
absolutism in its
Kant's
own way is that
Kant's a
nobody should lie.
deontologist. Kant's a deontologist. It's not what you're talking about.
Deontology can be absolutist. So when we're looking at the spectrum of absolutism to relativism, relativism would say stealing is bad, but it kind of depends on the situation
if
that's
I said
happening.
I'm
so that's
a
how we
moral
gauge it.
relativist-
So an example of relativism would be
I'm
like
talking to you.
utilitarianism.
If I say I'm a moral relativist, is that my subjective state?
Your statement?
Is it my subjective state? I am a moral relativist.
I don't even know what you're trying to ask here.
It's a simple question.
Well, the issue is that you're equivocating.
I am a
again.
moral relativist.
You're equivocating because
No,
you're using
I'm
the
not.
word
You don't know
subjective,
what
and in the next question you're going to use subjective for a different purpose.
You're so stupid
So
that you
subjective
think
could
that a
mean
word-
in this
you know what a-
situation
you know what a
your
word
personal
concept fallacy
state.
is.
But then when I answer that question, what you'll do is you'll see subjectivism is a moral system, but this is very different from one another.
No,
do you want to
the
go into
basis-
objectivism versus
no,
subjectivism?
the
Because we can
basis
do
of
that
subjectivism
next.
is
Objectivism is like
relative.
Platonic forms. Have you guys ever heard of Plato? Okay, Plato had this idea that essentially there was ideas that were true. So if we talk about
This
justice,
is like blippy philosophy.
you guys need it too, apparently. So when we talk about like justice,
Is that
Plato,
subjective or
do you want to
objective?
interrupt me or do you want
is
to
that
keep going?
what you're saying right now? Is that Subjective or objective?
Plato's Platonic forms.
No, your account
He
of
used
it.
Objectivism for his Platonic
No, what you're
forms.
saying
your
is it
account
true?
subjective?
Is your account of Plato, is it subjective or objective?
Again, you're just doing an equivocation.
You
This
can't
isn't
answer
like
the
a crazy
question.
That's
gotcha.
not equivocation.
There's no answer to your
That's
question.
not an
'cause all you're doing
equivocation.
is being bad faith.
If
You're
I say-
pretending
Listen,
to ask
do you
me
want me
a
to fix
question
it
that's
for you?
looking to adhere to actual
Listen,
response.
I
But what you're actually doing is to
subjectively-
equivocate the
So
word
she's not gonna
afterwards so you
answer
can
any
trick me.
questions.
Do you want me to finish going through
No,
the
God, you
y-axis?
don't. No.
You don't know
Or
what
do we
you're
want to
talking
answer
about.
his question on
Nobody wants
Agrippa's
you to keep
trilemma?
talking. Nobody.
Interesting.
Nobody.
Interesting.
Here,
Philosophy King's over here, by the
Nobody
way.
wants you to keep talking.
We'll come right back